Hi guys, today's camera is an Olympus OM-1. Actually, it's an OM-1 MD. The difference between an OM-1 and an OM-1 MD is the MD, this little label down here, means motor drive. At any rate, they're pretty much alike, and it's one of the neatest little cameras ever made. This one cost me 30 bucks. It's in excellent condition. If it was on eBay, it'd be worth between 100 and 200. Originally in 1974, these were priced at $265 with this 1.8 lens. The OM-1 set a new standard for 35mm single lens reflex in size and weight. They were trying to compete against the Nikon F Atomic, which weighed 40 ounces. This OM-1, the standard one without the motor drive, came in at 26 ounces. It has superior high quality and sold like hotcakes. If I was to shoot film again, I would probably do it with a good OM-1. And this one, indeed, is pretty good. They were manufactured from 1974 to 1979. The original M1 was produced in 1972, but it was called an M1 and Leica complained because it caused confusion with their M1. And so the name was changed to OM-1. In 1973, then they produced the OM-1 to 79. In 74, they did an OM-1 to 79, the OM-1 motor drive like this one. It's really interesting to look at the various different versions of Olympus OM cameras, from the OM-1 up to the OM-4. It's so confusing that I'll put in the following, I'll show you 2 slides that show you the overlap, because even though they kept advancing it and making new models, they kept making the old models for a long time as well. Here's a chart I got off Wikipedia showing the progression of the M1 up to the OM3 Ti. This next slide shows from the OM4 all the way up to the OM2000. It's amazing, all of the overlap. At any rate, let me show you how this thing works. This is the switch for the meter that turns it on and off, and it's visible in the viewfinder. There's a little needle that goes up and down, and of course it's coupled with the shutter speed and f-stop. The shutter speed and f-stop are both on the lens. Actually, the shutter speed's on the lens mount. Here's the shutter speed, and the f-stop is at the front of the lens barrel. And here's the f-stops from f16 to f1.8 in this case. On the top, of course, this is the rewind button. This is the ASA or ISO setting, and to change the ASA or the ISO, you have to push this little button beside it, and when you press that down, you can rotate this to whatever selection you want. That's ASA 1600. This is ASA 400 right there. And they're in half f-stop increments. On the top is a hot shoe. It's actually an accessory. You have this little knurled screw knob on the back to take it on and off. I took it off, and strangely enough, it's a left-hand thread, so if you have a hot shoe and you want to get it off, or you bought a hot shoe, it's an accessory, and you go to put it on, you'll have to remember that it's left-hand thread or it'll drive you nuts. Of course, this is the film advance and shutter actuation, and the little dial or indicator is in this little window to show you the film count window. That's the shutter release. On the front, this is the rewind knob for rewinding your film. I should say rewind switch, because unlike most rewind buttons on cameras where you have to hold them down, this one you can just flip it like that and rewind the film, and you don't have to hold anything. When you're done rewinding it, when you put new film in, as soon as you advance the shutter, it resets the button so that it's no longer in a rewind position. So you don't have to worry about it. It's kind of ingenious. This is the mirror lockup lever, And unlike Nikon's, this one really does lock up the mirror without any extra steps. It's directly actuated. You remove the lens, there's two tabs here, one on each end of the lens. You can pinch them to release the lens and dismount it, like so. And here's the mirror lockup. That's the locked up position. That's the down position. Simple as can be. Of course, that's the self timer, which I don't dare use because on old cameras it gets you in trouble. To put the lens on, like all of them, you align a couple red dots. The red dot is the center of the f-stop graduated scale for depth of field. And here's a red dot here. There's also the red dot up there. And you put it into the big red dot, turn it clockwise till it snaps, and then in fact it lines up with the little red dot, which also indicates where your shutter speed is. Right now at a 30th of a second. Here's a thousandth of a second. And way down here is bulb. And we'll set the aperture to f16, f1.8. On this side of the camera is the flash sync port, which is kind of interesting because instead of having two flash sync ports, one for flash bulbs and one for electronic flash, they just have one, and it's built into the sync port is the switch to select which it is. And there's a little red indicator on the side of it that shows that it's actually in the X sync position now. And if you twist this little knob just that far, then it would be set for F sync or bulbs, flash bulbs. I'll show you a close-up of that in a second. Let me take the lens off one more time because this also has interchangeable focusing screens. And unlike Nikon's and some of the other cameras and Topcons, the way you change the focusing screen is from the inside. You actually can just pry the focusing screen down, take it out, and put the new one in. And if you bought an interchangeable focusing screen, it comes with a little special tool to help you do that. I'll show you a close-up of that. Okay, there's nothing on the back except the little folder to hold your film so you can keep track of what type of film you have in here. To release the back, you pull up on the rewind knob and it'll pop loose. And the back is also interchangeable. You can remove the back and put a data recording back or a big cartridge back that holds a film that has up to 250 exposures. There's a little release lever here. I'll show you a close-up of that. On the bottom, that's where the motor drive goes. Of course, here's your tripod socket. There's the electronic contacts for the motor drive. This is the battery compartment. This mechanism here is the slot that the motor drive would actually spin the film advance in. And that little hole there is for an alignment pin for the motor drive accessory. All in all, it's a great little camera. If you wanted to get into 35mm photography, this is a nice, small, compact, professionally made camera. Very serviceable. If you had one and it broke, lots of camera repair places can fix these. They're used to them. There's gazillions of them around. Well, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. And hey, these are tough times. Remember, we're all in this together. Please give a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you're really a glutton for punishment, here's a shameless plug for my book, which is available on Amazon and every place else, including Lulu. Thanks, everyone.